Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. This is part 2 of our weekly episode. As we said in the last episode, if you were tuning in now, we're just jumping right into listener questions. So it's a little bit unique. If you've just come to this episode and you're thinking, oh, it's a regular episode, it's not quite. It's actually the continuation of the episode we just recorded. So I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman. We got our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham, and intern Erica on the dials. Let's jump into listener questions. Maxie boy, I believe you're curating all of these questions. I'm excited.
I got them. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Did they have any hard-hitting stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, Maggie Love asks, is there any part of your new routine that you would like to keep once things get back to normal? Let's start with you, Shane.
Working from home would be amazing. Mm-hmm. Like if I could just avoid the commute, that would make my lifestyle much, much better. So I find I'm a great worker from home, and I'd like to think I've proved to all my bosses that I'm actually more effective from home than even at work. So I'd like to keep that going.
How many bosses do you have?
well, I'm meeting Randall.
Right. It's just the phrase "all my bosses" is very funny. It's like there's like.
Shane, you had a funny line. I thought we talked about this like last year or something, where you're like, I'm actually more productive at home because at work I spend more time pretending to work and figuring out ways to look like I'm busy, and it actually makes me less productive. But when I'm at home, I just get more shit done. It was something. It was
when I'm at home, the privilege of working from home lights a fire under my ass like nothing else. Where I'm so worried people are going to think I'm not working, that I have to prove that I did so much during the day. Whereas when I'm at work, I'm like, oh, look at how stressed I looked, and I'm throwing papers around, and I'm fucking. So I look way more productive at work, but I'm way less productive than when I'm at home.
Mike, what do you got?
I've never eaten better in my life. I'm like, and honestly, like. The drinking is like way like it's like I think until we took this month, it's like I would eat lunch at work. We work on Queen Street, so it's just takeout every day for lunch. Honestly, we would eat a lot of takeout for dinner. And now it's like we are cooking everything. We're like produce, fresh vegetables. Like it's like basically the way that we're eating and the life that we're living now. Feels sustainable going forward, because how could you not? We've now become sort of used to it. I can't imagine that when the world starts up again, it's going to be like, yo, let's hit Dommies 3 nights a week again. So I think we're going to, like, at least for me, I'd like to maintain this eating, to be honest.
Yeah, we're definitely like making a lot of food and like clearing out the fridge. I feel like, if you are on the run a lot, if you're on the go, it's just like, oh shit, okay, we brought a bunch of groceries and 40% of it has to be tossed out, and you feel really wasteful about that. But right now, that's not happening at all. It's like everything's getting used, so I feel good about that. Though I will say I do really miss eating out. I tweeted that like I'm going to eat out every fucking meal of the day, and no one can make me feel bad about it. But the thing which I've actually, silver linings here, that I've actually kind of come to enjoy because I'm learning, is like this, for instance, like we resisted doing pods that were not all in the same room, and it's not quite as good, but knowing that this technology exists and it's so easy, I'm like, oh, the mental hurdle that I had when it came to recording pods when the band was on tour was really exhausting for me, and it weighed on my mind. I'm like, oh, how are we going to do it? But now that we learned this skill, and I think this probably goes for a lot of people that work in offices that need to have meetings that they thought they had to have in person. I'm really happy about that skill that we've developed here together. And with band stuff, we're able to send around a lot of music to each other. And the first time, like the version of Years in the Making acoustic that we just put out, that was sort of an experiment. We're like, let's see if we can execute an acoustic version of our song that we normally do in some fancy studio all together. Let's see if we can all like play our parts. Tony, you assemble it all, and we'll ship it out to a guy to mix it. And it's like my favorite acoustic thing that we've done. And I think it beats the stuff that we normally pay $1,000 a day to go into a studio for. So knowing that we can be productive musically from home, at least when it comes to acoustic stuff for now, and I can do podcasts when I'm not with you guys and still feel really connected with you and have a natural rhythm is really good. Because before I'd call in and we were all kind of on a 3-way phone and we'd just be stepping over each other all the time. But that seems to happen less and less as we do these Zoom calls. So I'm happy for that. Erica, what about you?
I've been roped into a lot of online workouts now, and I was very reluctant to work out in the past, but now I'm working out 3 times a week on Zoom. And
on Zoom, how does that work?
So one of my neighbors at my parents' house, they own a gym. Gym is closed, so now they're doing classes online. And then also a bunch of my girlfriends from high school that I'm still really good friends with, we're doing workouts on Mondays now, apparently. And we're going around the circle, rotating. Each person leads them. It's very weird. It's very new to me. I don't know if I like it, but you don't want to be the person who's like, sorry, I can't come. Or sorry, I don't want to do that thing. You know what I mean? So.
Well, you can't really say, oh, I'm busy.
Exactly. Yeah. So now I just find myself working out all the time. But I feel great. And I think I'm going to, as this is a Greg Veerman actually line, I think I'm going to get quarantined during this time.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into the home workouts too. Like, you know, there's a whole bunch of them out there, and they're free. And as long as you have like a yoga mat and a little bit of space, you can kind of do it. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, next question here. This is from John Harris. Okay, so there's an article that was on CBC News. He asked, I'd love to hear you guys riff about the handwritten lyrics of Hey Jude, sold for $910,000. Too much? Too little? What piece of memorabilia would you love to have? So basically, it was sold at an auction. It's Paul McCartney handwritten lyrics to the song Hey Jude. Is sold at Julian's Auctions. The vintage bass drum head with the Beatles logo does use the English blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Yeah, but basically, what do you make of like memorabilia? Is there anything that you guys would pay any money for that you're like, yeah, sure, like I'll pay? Is there anything you'd spend $5,000 for that is like something of some other, you know, works of art or some celebrity or musician or actor that you care about?
Yeah.
Mike, let's start with you.
Yeah, I feel here's the thing, it's all relative. So like whoever spent $900,000 on the lyric sheet for Hey Jude, handwritten by Paul McCartney, I'm assuming that that $900,000 to them is probably like, I don't know, $400 to somebody else. So it's like when you go like, is that too much to spend? Well, it depends on the person that spent it. Like some people might think I'm crazy for spending what I spent on Raptors playoff tickets, but to me, that's something valuable. Do I think having like the original lyric sheet to Hey Jude would be amazing? Fuck yeah. It's like whatever number that would be that I would pay, I'd have to figure out what that number is. And I assume whoever spent $900,000, it's relative to them like that. Like it's probably some like billionaire Saudi prince or something that's like $900,000 is like us spending $300 to go to a Raptors game. So that's the way that
5 G's. Would I spend it? 5 G's.
Man, you know, it's interesting you asked that because when I was at the Nick Nurse auction for the Nick Nurse Foundation, they were auctioning off it was a all-star jersey signed by everybody on Team Giannis. It was actually a very cool piece of and I think it ended up getting up really high. But when it was in the early stages, I was texting with Danica because like I was sitting at a table, like I could have bid, like easily anyone in the room could have bid. And I was like, on the first and second bid, I'm like, would I be crazy enough to buy this jersey? And then I was like, no, I'm not even going to like jump in, even just to say I jumped in. And then it got way out of my price range. But to answer your question, would I spend $5,000 on Paul McCartney's handwritten lyrics in this economy, brother, with everything crashing? Fuck no.
Yeah, that's true.
Shane, is there anything you can think of that you'd like, I need to have this Jason Schwartzman, like, I don't know, original script from whatever? Like, is there anything?
That's actually a good call. That's in the realm of something I would want, but I'm such a non-stuff type of person. I was just trying to rack my brain to think of something, and I think I would like to have the dumb Starbucks cup from Nathan Fielder's Enterprise Dumb Starbucks.
That's a good one. What would you spend for that?
But yeah,
$5K.
I wouldn't. No, I would pay maybe $100, but something that would actually be
I don't know if that's going to do it.
I know. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what would actually make me want to spend money? Like, maybe if, like, let's say I lost the first card Alex ever gave me for my birthday, and she writes, like, handwritten notes, and I was, like, 60 years old. If I could buy that, I might buy it for, like, $1,000.
That's a good
Something
answer.
like that.
Yeah, it's a good one because it's like, I'm like you guys. It's like, there's nothing I really want. Someone like Mike D would be like, no, you buy it because then it's an investment because you can sell it for more later. Like people who like collect things, right? So it's like, you know, I'll buy this like expensive acoustic guitar, and like I don't like Mike has a
Right. That's not in the nature of this question, though.
yeah. So, but is there anything? No. And the other thing is just like there's nothing that like my family would want. I'm like, because I was thinking like, oh, if my dad really wanted like a rookie card from Willie Mays, because Willie Mays was his favorite baseball player growing up, maybe like the gesture to buy something for somebody else is something that crossed my mind. But like my dad doesn't give a shit about anything either, about any of that kind of stuff either. Like I think all of us are pretty lucky that no one is super obsessed with like stuff that's more than like a few $100, I think.
Yeah. And memorabilia just kind of sits on your shelf.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, like my brother gifted me that like Raptors championship ring that he got as a member of like MLSE. I would never spend money on like a Raptors championship ring. Like whatever you could buy that for retail or something like that, I wouldn't pay for something like that. But the fact that it's a gift makes it invaluable to me. So yeah, like I could always, I could sell it for parts, they could chip off the whatever and it's raw, but it's like I would never, because it means way more to me than any sort of like money value or whatever.
$1 million.
Well, in this economy, I might have to take it.
But this question actually kind of relates to something I was thinking about with Tom Brady and Howard Stern on our last episode, where people were kind of asking, Tom, you have this incredible legacy in New England. Why are you going to sully it by probably playing 2 shittier years in Tampa? Don't you want to be the guy who played his whole career with one team? And that, like, every sports fan, especially if you're from New England, is like, come on, Tom, like, don't fuck this narrative up.
Larry Bird.
It's perfect right now. Yeah. But even Michael Jordan didn't do it. Like, he ended up going, and we see the Michael Jordan example. Or who's the guy, Steve Young? No, who's the guy who played on the San Francisco 49ers who left? He was the quarterback before Steve Young. Joe Montana. Joe Montana. Like, he left. And then Brady goes, well, I still want to play, and I don't really give a shit about legacy. And it just kind of reaffirmed this idea is like you never know what it's like until you're in somebody else's shoes. And I've talked about this before. Like I remember talking to the guys in the Hip. This was like in 2012 or something. We went to go see them in Hamilton. And I asked Paul, I was like, hey, Paul, do you guys bunk up together? Do you like room together? Or do you, and he's like, no, we get our own rooms. And I was thinking to myself, man, Paul's so foolish. I can't believe they're blowing all that money on getting their own rooms. It's like
this is the Tragically Hip in 2012, and you thought they were crazy for not being roommates?
Well, this is how crazy and stupid I am. And then now, literally 3 years later, like we don't really bunk up much, except for the odd tour. And I'm thinking like, listen, we got the money, we can all get our own rooms. And
you take separate tour buses now.
No, we don't do that.
They're like Lincoln Park. Yeah,
but it was it's a good example of like how you just don't know what you do until you're in that position. So even though I think spending money really frivolously on like dumb shit, like on like $900,000 on a Hey Jude thing, I think it is unconscionable, and like people shouldn't have that much money. Like the government should take that money away and give it to poor people. That aside, I also like, I've never been that rich, and who knows what it's like to live in the mind of that person. And I'm not saying it's excusable, but I'm just like, that is just sort of a fact of the matter that I've learned. I'm like, until you live in someone's shoes, you just, you never know. Because my mind clearly changed because we get our own hotel rooms now.
It's all relative.
It's all relative. Okay. This is a good question. I think it's from Cindy. Did the quarantine and government reaction policies make you any more or less political? Especially Shane, who tends to be pretty apolitical. That was brackets.
Let's start with Shaney since she asked.
Am I more political now? No, I think it's all the same.
Are you more interested in sort of the machinations, like the way that it's all working? Like right now, the government has more control over us than ever for a good reason. We're in a health crisis, and we have to sort of be directed in a lot of ways that maybe we aren't, as we are a free country. Do you think about it in that context at all, or are you just like, well, no, this just seems like the reasonable thing to do?
Being quarantined, like how we're forced to do that right now,
yeah.
Like that seems... Yeah, but I think any government would make you do that right now. Everyone's kind of just listening to medical professionals. Like Trump actually wants everyone to get back to work, but he's just forced to look at the statistics and listen to medical professionals. So we're really not, like, this has nothing to do with your political leanings.
Well, the issue is though in America, there's several states that don't have mandatory stay-at-home orders. They're slowly coming around, and that's like been a big division in politics. Meaning, like we're a state that doesn't believe in telling people what to do, and then other states are like, well, we're doing it for. So it can become a political issue. Here, it seems like we just accepted that's the way that it's going to be.
Right. So would you think liberals would be more likely to be more strict about these policies than
libertarians? Probably despise this because they don't want government in their lives at all and don't want to be told what to do. As far as like liberals and conservatives, yeah, party lines are very interesting when it comes to this thing.
But you think a libertarian wouldn't believe in a quarantine?
I think,
or they just think they should be able to decide if they should.
Exactly.
Well,
this is where the libertarian argument kind of falls apart. Like as soon as like anything actually needs to get done, or there's any bit of chaos, it's like, all right, what do you got for me now, buddy? You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering that about anti-vaxxers right now. Like, would they take the vaccine if it became available?
There's this amazing tweet, speaking of anti-vaxxers, by Megan Amram, who's like a writer for The Good Place. And she had a tweet, I'm paraphrasing it, but she was something like, because I'm an anti-vaxxer, I think that we all need to get herd immunity by maybe getting exposed to the virus, maybe a less potent version, maybe in an office somewhere. And basically, so many people got confused and were like, you're an anti-vaxxer, but they didn't realize the joke is that is a vaccine.
Right.
So she kind of worded it perfectly where like half the people kind of like jumped down her throat and other people were like, this is the whole point, is that basically, anyway. I do wonder, though, sometimes if anti-vaxxers are like if there was all of a sudden a vaccine for COVID-19, like would they be lining up or would they be holding out? Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah, apparently they would be holding out.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of anti-vaxxers actually follow Alex, and they responded to her quite confidently that they want to contract COVID and let their antibodies take care of it.
Okay.
Wild. So Shane's the same politically. Max, where do you lean on this question?
I think it's actually made me more political because I had ideas about how our society and community should work, and part of the ideas were people that are in government, that run for government, should care about how government works and should care about how to help people. And it always strikes me the conservative tendency, which is let people figure shit out themselves. It was always like, okay, if that's your ideology, why are you even running for government? Because isn't the point of government to be kind of helpful? And so it's like, so you have these people, and I want to give Doug Ford credit because I think he's actually been very hands-on, but I'm specifically referring to the states where you get these governors whose whole mandate since they were elected was like, we are going to stay out of your life, and that's why you elected us. It's like, that always seemed like antithetical to the point of it all. So number one, I like an active, smart government that is like there to serve the people and like they actually actively think about how to be helpful. Because if you're a Republican whose only mandate is I'm not going to get in your business, it's like, okay, but you're not thinking about when shit hits the fan how you can be helpful. So it reaffirmed my ideas there, and it's also reaffirmed my idea that like none of the fun shit that we get to do happens unless communities are healthy. Like and it's always bewildered me when we put like education and healthcare like 15th on the list. And I know it gets a lot of like budget in like whatever the Ontario budget. There's a significant allotted to healthcare, but it's like when we're arguing about it's like, should we spend money on military? Should we spend money on this and that? It's like nothing matters unless we have all the bases covered when it comes to our health, and I'd add education to that because education has to do with like people being informed. And it's proving this right now. None of the fun shit we get to do, sports, music, entertainment, all the things that make life fun can happen unless that primary thing is being looked after by really smart people that we're paying well and that we respect and that we admire and that we listen to. And I've always thought, I'm like, guys, we need to think more about that. And I think this time is proving like how important those people are. So it's actually made me double down and made me that much more passionate about my politics. Mike, what about you?
I'm no more or less political. I'm not a hyper political person anyway. Although I am very fascinated by politics, and I obviously we're all citizens of this city or province and country. So it's like it's good to be aware. I will say that, like, I think since this all started, and I've said this on a different pod or a pod we did a couple episodes ago, I've been very like comforted by sort of the way that our government has reacted and that Trudeau has sort of rolled things out. And, you know, there's monetary things that they have like sort of set up for people. And there's always going to be sort of issues with getting that money out and sort of the construct of it all and the way that it even like the mechanics of it work. And, but I think that for a lot of people that are, you know, so many people are going on EI, so many people are applying for that other bonus that you need, people that are out of work, because this is such a crazy time. And who knows what this means down the road. But what I like about the government, the Liberal government right now, and Trudeau, is that from the start they've sort of had this calming voice and presence that's like, we're going to get through this. We have to isolate. Let's get past the health thing first. I know everyone's scared about money, but here's where we got some stuff that's going to help people that are feeling like, you know, they're going to be out of work because of this. Those things I think are so important. And those, you know, if we don't have a government that cares or puts these things in place or thinks about these things for when these weird sort of like life-altering events hit, then we're all kind of screwed. And you're seeing that in a lot of different places in the world where people are kind of just left to sort of sort themselves out. And so like people that are already wealthy, they're kind of fine. And then people that aren't are getting absolutely clobbered by this thing and devastated. So, yeah, like you just realize how important politics are and who is in charge. And I mean, who knows if Andrew Scheer goes in whenever that election was a little bit ago, it's like how different is the national response and then trickle out to the different provinces. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that like I've, you know, as a citizen, I've been like, yeah, this has been a good sort of handling of such an impossible event. So that's how I feel. But I don't know if I'm any more or less, just still sort of like observational about the whole thing.
Well, but doesn't it not make you go, oh, thank God that government, that they're like people are smart and caring that work in government? Shouldn't that like energize you to be like that much more passionate about respecting those jobs? I just feel like to me, it just like makes me that much more like, guys, the only thing that fucking matters is that really smart people sign up for government jobs as opposed to working as a fucking consultant, because there's a lot of smart people that just like, oh, I'm going to go work on Bay Street because I can make more money there. You know what I mean? It's like, it just makes me think that like all of our best and brightest should just work to serve the people, and we should figure out a way to pay them accordingly. I don't know.
But don't you think it's weird that no one, like no president before now or prime minister has planned for a pandemic of this level?
I think this is going to change elections so much. And I think it's going to change the way like news organizations and reporters cover elections. It's going to change the kind of questions they ask. It's because I think now this is going to be such in the forefront of people's minds that they're going to have answers for this kind of stuff. But I would also argue too that this just proves that it's more important to be more engaged, because who's in office is so important. Like none of these businesses would be shut down or society would be put on hold if the government didn't say so.
Well, you know what? I wonder, like, on that point, is like how this is going to be a kind of a big election issue. Is that it's like,
yeah,
you know, what is the Canadian military budget? I don't know what it is, but it's like, how does that compare to research and development in vaccination research or whatever? And you'd think after this, everyone is gonna be like, okay, sure, like we obviously each department needs their money, but like this has been by far the most like affecting, traumatic thing that anybody has been through in 70 years. So shouldn't like the majority of our time and energy and money go to that? Okay, show me a fucking candidate who's gonna like get like the best and brightest, and he's gonna like walk out his department of scientists and go like, guys, we're not gonna get fucked by this again, and we are working on this in a major way, because like wars don't happen in the same way as they used to. So like this seems to be like the new form of terrorism, war, whatever, that we have to be thinking about. And like, yeah, I've been thinking about this might be like a fun topic to think about a little closer to the US election time, but like, what are effective ad campaigns if you're Joe Biden talking about Trump and how he's mishandled this, and how to like, you know, how do you demonstrate for Trump's base? And is this even possible? Like, this is a guy who has so little interest in helping you. He's never had any interest in helping you. And this is the most obvious example. The department that was there to prevent epidemics from happening, he disbanded. It's like you've seen the graphs. The United States has objectively done a terrible job here, and is under his watch. So I don't know. You guys are good writers. Like I just wonder, like, what would be like an effective way to get that message out. But we
Well,
could.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think Trevor Noah already did it. He had a pretty good edit of Trump in the early goings of all this, just being like, "It's fine, we're doing great. This is a Chinese disease. We've got this under control. Trust me. This is fake news." And then you can see as it gets worse and worse, Trump slowly changing his tune. And then the piece ends with Trump saying, "I believe that this was a terrible pandemic the whole way. We couldn't have handled this better." But just that edit was so powerful. Day by day by day, he just lied and said how it wasn't a bad thing. And then once it became what it is now, he's like, "I knew it all along that this is terrible and I've been doing a great job." Because that's Trump's whole thing, right? He'll just lie right to your face. And yesterday, whatever he said doesn't even matter, because tomorrow he's got the answer for what he should have said yesterday.
Or we'll blame it on Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton somehow.
Oh, 100%. And he's very convincing. Like, even though yesterday I heard him say it wasn't a problem, when he's saying today, now it is a problem, and yesterday I knew it was a problem, I still, even though I know he's lying, I somehow believe him because he is so charismatic.
Yeah. Okay.
It's weird.
Next question. Do you think the closure of movie theaters right now, along with the direct streaming to Netflix, etc., theaters will become mostly obsolete, minus the old vintage theaters that screen cult classics, etc.? What do you guys think about that? This has been like a conversation that's kind of going on for a long time before this even happened. Has this been expedited, do you think? Mike, let's start with you.
It's a really good question because I will say, you know, I get the arguments, like it's expensive to go to the theater. Is it an antiquated experience? Everyone has a giant TV in their basement or in their living room now. All the surround sound sounds great in your house. Snacks are cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. But there is nothing quite like watching like a great comedy in a room full of people. That is such like a unique human experience that we love doing, and that's like something that we've been doing now for whatever 60, 70, 80 years that we love doing. The question is it like, will movie theaters be able to make enough money? Do people care enough about going to theaters? And even before this pandemic, this was becoming an issue. People weren't going into theaters as much anymore, and movies were losing money, except for the big Marvel movies, which are stuff that you kind of need to see, like an experiential thing. Is it over now after Corona? I don't know. I mean, I think there won't be as many theaters. I think instead of having like 4 in your city, maybe you have 1 multiplex, and it's just for like these event films, and it can afford to run because it's the only game in town. So maybe that's what it looks like, but I don't think it will ever go away completely. But maybe the way that we understand it now, where like every city has 4 big theaters, that's probably going away.
Shane?
Yeah, I think there'll be a boom initially when this is all over, and then it'll kind of die off. And I just don't know if theaters are that important to people under 25. Like, I think for us, a big part is the nostalgia factor. Like, I like going to a theater because it reminds me of when I was a teenager and how much fun I had. It's a big part of it. I don't think the communal, like, laughing with everyone's important to people 25 and under. So, yeah, I do think they're going to go away as a dinosaur sooner than later. But like Mike said, it'll probably be that 1 or 2 big theater chain in your city instead of the 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to not think too hard about how expensive going to the movies is. Like, I just think of it as like, oh, this is an awesome night of entertainment, and if it's going to cost me $45-$50, I'm like, what else am I doing for $45 or $50? You know, it's like, okay, you could either go to a sports game, which is probably more expensive, or you go to a concert, which is probably more expensive. But if you want to be like entertained and be out and about and feel like you're getting yourself a little treat or whatever, sounds like a great way to spend my money. And I also just like love the experience of like the big screen and the sound, and I love not being able to look at my phone. You know, you're shamed if you look at your phone, whereas at home it's easy to like, you know, take a peek or whatever. And so like your concentration on the movie is like, it's incomparable in the theater.
But it's kind of like the convenience issue too. Like, it's like going to a party or something. It's really fun, but it's also really inconvenient to like get dressed, get in your car, go drive, park, get out, go to the thing, and then come home again. It's a lot. If it's at your fingertips, you might as well just stay home.
But this is why I like to do it. But like, I totally get it's way more convenient to not leave your house. But I'm probably in the minority. But like, I like the act of like, oh, this is like a date night, or I'm going with my friends. Like, it's a very social thing, like the going and leaving, which like we'll go to movies at Jackson Square, and I'll talk to Brody for all fucking 2 minutes before the movie starts, but I still like that Brody was in the movie theater with me or something. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, of course, yeah. But you're after 30. I'm curious what Erica thinks about this.
Yeah, don't you guys think half of what is like making you run to the movie theater is just like the timeliness of seeing the movie? Like if your friend sees the movie on opening night and raves about it, you're like, fuck, don't tell me anything. I need to get there ASAP.
Yes.
But I mean, if that's available to you in your home, you can all see it. You'd probably watch it 3 or 4 days as earlier as you would have if it was in the theater.
That's a great point.
And like, I think honestly, it comes down to the price too, right? Like I just signed up for Amazon Prime, which is $7.99 a month for Amazon Prime Video. And that's like half the price of a movie ticket these days.
Okay. Erica, you're going to have to rearrange this question in your head, but you'll get it. Okay. What trend was around when you were in your late teens, early 20s, relevant to that age group, such as a clothing item that college students wore, that you want to come back? Also, what is a current trend that you don't understand? This is kind of a tough one, but that's kind of interesting. We're actually kind of getting to the age, because like fashion and like and sort of art and culture kind of often goes in like 20-year cycles. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's happening on TikTok, like style that like is actually from the 90s. That is actually quite familiar to me. So they're seeing all these e-boys on TikTok that have the part in the middle, like Sean from Boy Meets World. I'm like, oh, this is kind of, because my first answer was like, oh, I kind of liked when like you could wear long sleeve t-shirts underneath your t-shirt, because I thought that was like kind of a cool look. But I think that might be back in now. So I think that's my question for both, or my answer for both, I think, is just is that it's there's certain things like in style and also even in music, how like there's things like from like the late 90s, early 2000s that are like stylistically becoming cool again. Like Dua Lipa's new record has some like 90s like dance touchstones, which I remember listening to on like Groove Station. I guess I would have been like 11 or 12 when Chris Shepard's Groove Station 4 came out, but like has that sort of like throwback quality, but now is just popular again. I don't know if that's a totally fair answer. Shane, what are you going to say?
With the internet, though, nothing's a real trend for long enough to really be an impactful trend. And nothing's out of style enough for it not to be ironically cool. Like anything you do, even if it's uncool, is now cool. You can't be uncool. Like if I just wore like a visor upside down right now, everyone would just think I was being funny and stupid, yet somehow stylish and avant-garde.
That's actually
like,
true.
You know what I mean? Like I would just be like Kyle Mooney or Beck Bennett or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't you think, like, is there anything that I could do that would be so fashionably uncool? Like what? Like those, if I wore those roller shoes, which I always wanted to get the hang of, what are they called? Wheelies?
Yeah.
Heelys.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But you roll around on your heels. Like that just looked awesome. And I would think, oh, right now that would be embarrassing to do and I'd get made fun of. But people would think it was kind of ironically cool if I was doing it. Or I was doing it running a bit.
Yeah, Heelys are definitely cool again. Especially in like internet culture, on like TikTok and shit. If you have Heelys, it's like, that's sick.
Like nothing is embarrassing anymore. Like nothing. I can't think of one thing that would be embarrassing.
I think I still don't, and I know this isn't like a new trend, but like, and we've talked about this in the podcast before, but I still think face tattoos are a thing that I don't totally get. Like, it's like you have to be the 1 in a million lottery person that like is like you have to be Post Malone to pull off a face tattoo, and everybody else is kind of fucked. And so it's just like a weird, like, I just don't know how that's going to age. I don't know how that's going to, like, in 10 years from now when like some guys, you know, we talked about this, you know, working, you know, he's in accounting and he's got face tattoos. I'm just very fascinated with how that trend is going to age.
But it's more just a sign that to say you're an artist of some sort. Like if I went to a web designer or a graphic, like someone, if I did like an Arkell's video, let's say, and I needed someone to do graphics for it or something, and the guy had a face tattoo, that would up his credibility in some way.
It would make him seem more interesting and artistic.
Yeah, I'd be like, this guy knows his shit. He's super fucking smart at this and creative and artsy. But like, you know, when I started getting tattoos like 15 years ago, people thought I wouldn't get a job. But when I applied for like directing jobs or anything and I would show up in a short sleeve shirt, it made me seem cooler or more artistic.
I guess that's my question is, will face tattoos become the new sleeves or arm tattoos? And I don't know if...
I think they already have.
Really?
No, not to the same degree.
Oh, if a guy with a face tattoo walked in and applied for our job, Rando would be like, I don't fucking get it, but this guy's an awesome creative type.
You're in a creative field though. Because now guys with sleeves are like accountants or whatever the fuck. Like, can a guy with a face tattoo be in the new normal accountant?
In 15 years from now, yes.
Guess we're gonna see if we're all still around.
So okay, actually, I have a couple more thoughts on this. One trend that I really liked, because it was just kind of a simpler time, is that you could drink like a bottle of cherry Coke or go to the 7-Eleven and get like a Slurpee or something and not feel like a piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because it was just like, I don't know, I'm 18. I'm going to drink some like wild cherry vanilla Coke. I'm not even going to get the diet version. I'm just going to drink like straight up Coke, and it's going to be like the best shit I'm having all weekend. Like, I just like love like pop like so much. And now that's actually the one thing that is, I think, a signifier in the culture now. It's like if you're just like walking around, like if you're like on the street with like a bottle of like pop that's not diet, people just like think you're like low class trash.
Yeah.
Like
Max, you are onto something, because they're like the trend of drinking water, like you can only drink water online. If you're drinking anything other than water or like that unalcoholic, yeah, you're right. You're kind of trash. It sucks.
Yeah.
I love Coca-Cola.
Yeah, so I've been drinking Diet Coke now because we've been going grocery shopping, and it's like my favorite part of the day. Like I think in my heart of hearts, I prefer if it was just a regular Coke, but I'm not willing to go there in a public way. Diet Coke is still acceptable, but yeah, I think I miss.
Are
I miss
Slurpees totally out of fashion now?
No, I think they're kind of cool, actually.
A Slurpee
really?
is?
I think Slurpees are cool because they're retro kind of, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't had pop in a month, and I have a pop every day with my lunch when we were still going into the office.
A diet one, though.
I would do a Diet Coke, yeah.
You ain't trash, yeah.
And and then my answer for something that I don't get is that, I am going to really sound old here, is that with the new platforms, like I know every generation wants to define themselves in a certain way. And I remember after I got out of university, like EDM started to get really popular, and it was just like unlistenable trash. It was just like, because all the DJs were trying to like own a particular sound, which is like basically like gonna give you a fucking migraine. But like the next generation of university kids were like, this is what defines us, this is who we are. And I'm like, that's totally fine if you want to like separate and do something different, but this is objective fucking trash. And so when I'm thinking about like the TikTok stuff, I like the dancing, because we talked about this last week. I think that is cool, and I like people like going out there and showing off their moves. But I just think that it has like a ceiling and a shelf life that I'm like, is this really the thing that's going to define you? TikTok? Really? Okay, like I get that you can do clever editing. There's really funny people on TikTok that do a great job, but I think that medium isn't as good as Twitter or Instagram. But I'm sounding like an old man saying that.
I don't know if it will define them. I think perhaps it could launch a lot of them just as Vine did. Like some of the biggest YouTubers now started on Vine.
Yeah, I'm sounding like an
A
old
trend I don't get, I guess, among maybe guys my age is when people are playing like Call of Duty with headsets on and talking to each other. I don't understand how it works or the appeal of that, really. And I do like very simple video games, but the shooting games with the headset, talking, screaming while playing the game, like I don't understand that culture at all.
Natasha Leggero has a joke about how she would rather walk in on her husband like and catch him masturbating than having the little headset on and playing like a Call of Duty.
I just saw, I can't even say this really, but I saw one of our friends was secretly recorded playing one of these games and just going nuts, and it was hilarious. Oh, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That's amazing. We need to see this footage.
Have you seen it, Mike?
No, I don't even know who you're talking about.
I want to see this.
Okay, I can't say.
We got to protect their anonymity.
It was just hilarious though, and I was like, is this actually a thing? And then I've listened, and a lot of our friends, I think, play Call of Duty on these headsets at night. But yeah, anyway, I don't get it.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up with 2 more questions.
I have a one movie question that somebody asked. I'm not sure if that's on your list.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Maybe this could go after the movie talk, and we'll act like it was a segue. Sure. But speaking of movies, someone asked. It was I have it on my phone, but I can't because I'm on this app. But it was like, what movie would you think that each of you could describe yourself as one of the characters in? It was like, pick a movie and say which characters you'd be within that movie. I think that's the way to say it. So I picked Darjeeling Limited, just because I was trying to think of a movie with 3 guys, and I think I know the answer of what characters we would be.
Oh, good one.
Oh, so it has to be 3 guys in it.
Or yeah.
Interesting question.
But so I thought if we were doing Darjeeling that Max would be Owen Wilson in that movie, Mike would be Adrian Brody, and I would be the Jason Schwartzman character.
I have to see that movie. It's been a long time.
I need to see that movie again. I remember Jason Schwartzman's character hooks up with the girl on the train, right? The car girl.
Yeah, but he became all obsessed with her after meeting her just for like a few idle moments, and then he like was just like pursuing her like crazy. It just seemed like something I would do.
Owen Wilson has the great line in that film where there's like this river that's really hard to pass. It's going super fast, and there's these little Indian kids, and they're in the river, but they're kind of stuck. And Owen Wilson, as they walk up on these kids, goes, "Look at these assholes." Is that what it is?
Yeah. But I thought Max is like Owen Wilson's kind of like the peacekeeper in that movie.
Sure,
like,
I'm into that. That's good. Shit, Mike, do you got to get any ideas?
I was just racking my brain for anything with multiple characters. I'm like Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles. I'm just like to assign us character traits. There's got to be other famous movies with 3 characters, like Airheads. Does anyone remember that one?
Yeah, like Ocean's 11 would be kind of a fun one to think about because that's a pretty good like ensemble cast. I'm trying to think.
What about 3 Amigos?
There you go.
Yeah, 3 Amigos is good.
Who are you in 3 Amigos, Max?
I don't know. I'd have to see that movie. It's been a while. Sorry.
Who are you in 3 Amigos, Mike?
I'm probably Martin Short.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's who I would guess. I would think Max is Steve Martin, and I would be Chevy Chase.
Yeah, that's good. We'll go with that. That's good. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But let's pick a four-person one so we can get Erica in here. What if we're like, what if we're Ghost? What's a good 4-person thing? There's got to be a bunch out there.
How many people, main characters, are in Superbad? Just 3, right?
It's 2, pretty much. Unless you count McLovin.
Yeah, of course count McLovin. Shane would be McLovin.
Why am I McLovin? That's an insult.
You just say the dumb, funny things, you know?
All right.
Wow. Let's do
dumb. I didn't think they were dumb, but
okay. What about Ninja Turtles? This could be good. There's 4 Ninja Turtles.
All right, we'll do Ninja Turtles.
Shane Michelangelo.
Oh, I'm for sure Michelangelo.
He's definitely Michelangelo.
Mike is Raph.
Yeah.
You are Donatello.
Yeah.
And Erica's Leonardo.
Wow.
I wonder if there's like a Ninja Turtle personality test you can take on there online.
Yeah, we could have done Harry Potter. Let's move on to Max's questions. This one needed more thought.
I thought this topic was going to be way better.
No, it's good. We just need more thought. It's a good one.
I can see Catch Me If You Can. You could be Leo, Shane, and you could be Tom Hanks, Mike.
Ooh.
That'd be pretty good.
There you go.
Right?
And who are you in that?
I can't remember any of the other characters, but
he does get caught.
There's a theme to this one.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, who would be Leo? Who would be Brad? Who would be Tim of the Elephant's character or something?
Oh, man.
Yeah, Erica would be the little girl that Leo runs lines with in it.
That's funny. That's good. Okay. This is sort of similar kind of question, but we'll end here. It's from Julie T. If you could look like any 2 celebrities, who would they be and what features would you choose?
Good question.
Got it. Kendall Jenner body.
Okay.
With a,
Really?
What's Ryan Reynolds' wife? Blake Lively face, baby. Come on.
Wait, how plastic is
Blake?
No, is Kendall.
Oh, who cares?
She's
so
not.
What? Who cares?
Kendall's not plastic though. She's got the natural body.
Oh, interesting.
She does. She doesn't have the butt implants or anything. She's more like just like a taller supermodel type. Like she doesn't have the voluptuous body.
Like Kim, for example.
Yeah, or the Kylie.
Right.
Okay, Shane, what do you got?
Okay, I would like to have the face of James Franco would be cool. I like his face.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I think he's got a cool look. Who's bod? Who's got a good bod? Jeez.
Like Matt Damon between movies kind of thing?
No, I like Timothy Oliphant in the movie Go. Like, that's a good bod. It's not too try hard to be like ripped, but it is perfectly toned at the same time, and it's like not too bulky or too skinny.
Yeah.
So yeah, James Franco face, Timothy Oliphant body in the movie Go.
Okay, I like that. Mike, who do you got?
Face and body, eh? It's a good question. I don't know. You don't want to be like too good looking. You don't want to be like Brad Pitt. Like, that's distracting. Even Leo is pretty distracting looking. Like, it'd be fun to kind of look like somebody like a classic sort of like looking, like Paul Newman. Like, I'd like to have like Paul Newman's
cool
face.
One. That's a good one.
I'd take Paul Newman's face and Shaq's body just to be weird.
Current Shaq?
That would be awesome.
Same height, all 7 feet.
Is the skin color the same?
So black body, white face. Yes, that's the goal.
That would be amazing.
Okay, I was gonna go with just because again, this is like something I you probably couldn't achieve, but like Timothy Chalamet's little girl body,
Not his face. You want his body? That's ridiculous.
No, but I feel like girls love how skinny he is.
Mr. Burns has his body. That's the worst decision. His best thing is his face.
Really? I thought it was his body.
No, Erica.
I think they like
like
the
his body?
jawline. Well, no, his body is like that of a little boy, but it's people know that one day he will fill out and grow into his body. You know what I mean?
I'm not so sure about
years
that.
old.
Yeah, somebody
No,
go
he's
call
not.
up
He's
DJ
like
Crow.
my age. Come on.
How old are you?
I'm 23. I think he's around my age. Let's find out.
I'm looking this up. Continue.
So, but then I thought about it. It's like I kind of want to just do like mid '90s era Leo, face and body. I think is what I want.
Yeah,
you can't really go Leo from the '90s.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good.
Because the people were talking, like my first instinct was like Brad Pitt, like because he has always looked amazing, or Timothy Oliphant, or Idris Elba, or whatever the fuck. But like I feel like if I like cut out bread and like worked out a lot, I'm like I could probably get there. But that super skinny feminine thing that Leo had in the '90s, or Timothy Chalamet has right now, like I don't think I could ever get there. So that's why it seems like it's something to aspire to, or to want, I should say.
Chalamet's 24, by the way.
Okay.
You showed her, Shane. Okay, last question. This has been very fun. What female celebrity do you think you look like?
Ooh, good one. And then Erica, you think of male celebrity for yourself. Or you can do female as well.
I'm gonna Google hottest female actresses. Actually, okay, hottest female celebrities. I'm only gonna compare myself to a pretty lady here.
Who has hair like you, Max? Shakira.
Shakira has hair like me? I was gonna say more like Alana Glazer. She has hair like me, I think. Jennifer Lawrence, nope. Blake Lively, nope. Keira Knightley, nope. Olivia Wilde, nope. Rihanna, nope. Beyonce?
Nope.
No, okay. Selena Gomez. Oh, Taylor Swift. Her hair is actually naturally curly, so you could say I kind of look like her. Mila Kunis, no. Natalie Portman, no. I'm trying to think. I'm going to go with Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa?
This is just someone who I think is hot, actually. It's like, Max, this is not the game. This question's hard. We can also like go to another one, too, because that is a tough one. Okay, my answer is Carrie Russell with her big hair.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. Thank you, Ash. She came up with that one.
I'll go with Victoria Justice, and that's literally just me Googling a bunch of women and someone who had dark hair.
Victoria Justice?
Sure, why not?
There's got to be someone who's like half Asian, though, or a quarter Asian that you would look like.
I'm taking suggestions, whatever you guys think, Like,
Let's see.
All right, let me keep looking. You got one, Shane? You look like
Shane, who do you got?
Angelica Houston.
That's a good one.
Angelica Houston for Shane. It's good. Okay. Erica, do you got one?
I think maybe Ansel Ogart.
I like that. This one comes from local sportscaster Mark Hebscher.
Hamilton.
His question, Hamilton. His question is: are you allowed to have fun in public during a pandemic? And it's a good question because most things that are fun in public usually require groups. So in order to have fun, you'd have to be like frolicking around with your partner or your kid. I even think the first couple weeks of pandemic, people like all sort of had a solemn face on and like didn't want to look like they were doing anything frivolous outside. Because it's an interesting question. Because you're only supposed to go outside for essential things. Mm-hmm. So what's the policy here, guys?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
Unless it's on your deck or your porch. Stay on your property. Have as much fun on your property, but don't go onto public property and have fun, you know?
Are we not allowed to go on walks anymore?
You can, but don't have too much fun.
What does fun even look like? Like, are you allowed to sit? I don't even know. Like, have fun on the Instagram, you know? Like, so if you're in your backyard having fun, or is it like you're gonna go and like I don't know, start? I don't know. What is it? What can you do that's fun by yourself? Can you go with your family and like play frisbee? I don't know. I don't know if you can. I think that right now it might be very taboo to go out and kick a soccer ball around with your family.
Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, like I think if you have somebody who's 4 or under with you, it's a good get out of jail free card. So I'm walking around with my daughter and she likes to chase me and we tickle each other and we have fun. And I find people, at least in Hamilton, walking around are much friendlier. Like I typically do not say hello to someone across the street from me when I'm walking. But now people are like, how's it going? I'm like, pretty good. And you? So I feel like I'm having a better time out and about. Whereas normally I just kind of have my head down and I have more of a resting bitch face. But now I make sure to like be like, hey, we're in hell, right? Certainly are.
I think the courteous levels are through the roof right now, which I like. Like people are saying hello way more often. But anything more than that, if you're like 2 adults walking down the street and you pass another 2 adults, is just like, guys, get out of my way. Don't come any closer to me and go where you need to go. And that's that. Like the stop and chats aren't really happening. And if it looks like somebody's like goofing about, I think that's a no. So, I think you have to look like you have some purpose in where you're going if you're out of the house right now.
Agreed.
If you're an adult. Yeah. All right. Well, good job, guys. That was, I think, a very successful Q&A. Thank you to very, very much to everybody who wrote in with submissions. Those are really good questions. Mm-hmm. And we'll do it again next week.
Big time.